What is going on, Sabres fans, and welcome to another episode of the Sabres Spotlight podcast where we shine a light on all things Sabres hockey. Ryan, what's going on?
Nothing, dude. I'm really tired. The sun ate me alive today.
Dude, I know. It's so funny how I was good, and then I feel as soon as 9 o'clock starts to come, I just feel like it hits me, especially if it's been a long day. Like I was ready to go all day. I knew we were recording. I was pretty hyped for it, and then same thing with you. I was doing a little research before the show, and I'm like, man, I'm starting to get a little sleepy. But I saw you yawning when we got in the studio, so I'm like, oh man, he's had a day.
Yeah, dude. It's a lot. This is like the way my schedule works is like every 6 weeks I'll work like all 6 days of the week. And this is one of those weeks. So by like Wednesday, Thursday, I'm already pissed off Wednesday that I have 3 more days of work. And then Thursday, Friday comes and I'm like, all right, I'm really tired now. So I'm just like I'm grinding the end of my week here and we're almost there. And it's my birthday on Saturday, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
getting there. I'm getting there.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. So you get pissed off about work, and now we're gonna get pissed off talking about Kevyn Adams and the Sabres for the next hour and a half.
Yeah, guys, this is going to be so much fun. Even, I mean, fun, put that in quotations. We are giving you the entire history of Kevyn Adams as a GM and how we got here because I'm pretty excited about the upcoming off season, but it hasn't been pretty the last couple of years, obviously, as we all know. But we just kind of want to give a little recap here and tell you like what Kevin did, or honestly, in the case of most years, did not do.
Yeah, I like doing this exercise, and I like doing it now because we've talked about, and it's pretty well known out in the Saberhood that this is a pretty big off season for Kevyn Adams, and if he doesn't get it done, is he going to be on his way out? And so I kind of thought this was a cool way to go about it, just to kind of really take a look at historically, like because you forget things over time. So like just taking a deep dive into like, all right, what has he really done here? Where are we now compared to where we were then? How much better off are we? Where have we had some wins? Where have we, taken some L's? And kind of analyzing all that. And I think what we'll find is it's maybe not as it's not as bad as it seems. It's maybe not as good as it seems. It's probably going to be somewhere in the middle, but we'll talk about all that along the way. But anything else you wanted to start off with before we kind of get into Kevyn Adams here and go down the road?
No, honestly, I think I'm ready to go here. I'm ready to talk about this team, even though every time I get excited to come on here and talk about this team, and then we come on here and I'm like, I fucking hate talking about this team.
So the way that we split this up was I am going to I'll obviously bounce ideas and thoughts back and forth as we go, but I pretty much did the heavy research on the first 2 years of Kevyn Adams, which was 2020 and 2021. Ryan took the last couple of years, and so we'll go from there. And so Kevyn Adams hired in June of 2020 following the firing of previous GM Jason Botterill. Do you have any thoughts on? Again, I wasn't as in tune to the Sabres then. I'd watch, but I wasn't as involved as I am now.
Well,
But
dude,
any
you
thoughts
were
on
in
Botterill?
your you were in your checked out phase. You were in your
Oh
checked
yeah,
out phase, like like a lot of people are and have been
right.
until I kind of like reignited your Sabres love. I would say probably over the last 3 years. It took a lot for you to kind of be like, all right, I'm back in. I'm all in. I once, had a ton of knowledge about this team and I love them and I love following them. And, you checked out for a while. So I understand. But, dude, the Botterill era was a massive failure. And it was a massive failure because he sat on his hands the all the time. Like, there was a season where we finished, I think, with let's say 82 points. And it was like, okay, we're not there yet. Eichel's not a great player yet. Like Reinhardt, not a great player yet. O'Reilly was okay, nothing special. He was, and then the next lot, we didn't do anything in the offseason, and it kind of just all like, and that whole core like blew up. I mean, it was all just not fun in games. I'd rather not rehash the Jason Botterill era, honestly. But to lead into 2020, COVID happened.
Right.
So the Sabres missed the playoffs um, by literally points percentage, because we were scheduled to play Montreal the day that the NHL shut down. And if we beat Montreal, we get to play in the bubble. And since we didn't get to play in the bubble, we didn't make the playoffs. Which is
Yeah.
all just so funny that like the playoff streak technically could have been broken if COVID never happened. Like, do you ever think about that? Like, if COVID never happened and we like kind of like somehow, or COVID happens, excuse me, COVID happens, but we end up playing that Montreal game and beating them. We're in the bubble. Like, it's so crazy. So
So the
COVID
Sabres are just
happens.
destined to never make the playoffs, is what you're telling me.
Man, it's insane. But dude, you can. It's the whole thing. Honestly, was a blur until you kind of like started writing things down here. But so he steps into his role, and part of the reason he stepped into the role was because Pagula fired everyone, literally everyone, and was just like, "All right, I really like this guy. Here's the job." And
Yeah.
I'll let you take away his beginning couple
Yeah,
games
so
here.
that was in June of 2020. Botterill's out, as like you said, pretty much everybody. They clean house, scouts, like everything. And so Adams comes in and basically has kind of a vacant staff. And so there's the whole task of, filling that out. But before getting this, he served as the senior VP of business administration. He got that role in September 2019. He had been a part of the Sabres organization since 2011, serving as both an assistant coach and a director of the Pagula Academy of Hockey, and was general manager of the Harbor Center. So he had some background with the team. And like you said, obviously Pagula liked him enough and thought he was a smart enough individual to, transition him and promote him up to the GM role. Who knows how many other options there were, and how big of a search there really was there.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Terry Pagula firing everyone and then giving the reason why he fired everyone so that his family could maintain their lifestyle was horrendous. Like, I will not forgive him for that. Like, he fired a ton of people, hardworking people, strictly because of COVID, like restricting finances on rich people, and that really pissed me off.
So there's that. I mean, no one's a big fan of Terry, but I mean, hey, millionaires want millions of billionaires want billions of dollars. So I guess nothing's going to stand in their way at the end of the day. But so we get the first offseason with Kevyn Adams. Again, he's brought on in June 2020. So we're looking at the time period here, end of spring, summer, leading into fall before the season. First trade that he makes is September 16th, 2020. Uh, Fairly inconsequential. Maybe people thought that was a nice move at the time. Stahl is kind of towards the end of his career, I know, but acquiring Eric Stahl from the Minnesota Wild for Marcus Johansson. Stahl eventually gets traded at the end of this first season with the Sabres to Montreal in March, so it doesn't even make it a whole season. And we get in return for Stahl a 2021 third round pick, which eventually turned into Josh Bloom, which we talked about him on the last show, I believe, that he just won the Memorial Cup with Saginaw Spirit. He's part of the Vancouver Canucks franchise, and a fifth round pick as well. Any thoughts on this here? I mean, this is so long ago, but again, it's just I wanted to put it in here because it's just his first trade, but I overall kind of feels somewhat inconsequential.
I already hated Eric Stahl for leading the Hurricanes to a cup win after knocking out the Sabres in 2006. So honestly, I would like to forget that Eric Stahl was ever a Buffalo Sabre. Like, what a jerk! Can't stand him. I can't stand all the Stahls actually. I just cannot like, and I don't like any of them. So
Yeah, yeah.
Eric Stahl, I don't like him. It's we can move on.
So then he acquires a 2020 second round pick, which we used for JJ Paterka. So he moves up four spots in the 2020 draft, moving from 38 to 34, and he gives a in return a fifth round pick, which was the 100th pick in the draft, and that actually worked out pretty well because he moves up and drafts JJ Paterka. And I think the one thing we'll find as we go through this is that draft selections haven't really been like Adams has been pretty much on point there. So
Yep,
the
our
draft
draft
selections,
team. like props to Kevyn Adams and the scouts because
Yeah.
our drafting is actually like on par with the best in the league.
Yeah, if you could, if only you could just get the other areas filled out to fill out the roster around the draft picks and build the team the right way, it'd be going somewhere a lot sooner. But so that's I'd say that's pretty much a win. Like that's worked out pretty nicely as far as that goes, and that's kind of it. I mean, he as far as 2020 goes, again, this was kind of like he just got in, and how much are you gonna move around? But I do want to go through because I think some of these names are kind of interesting as far.
I have some funny memories about this offseason, and I'll tell you why after you talk about our first player here.
So those are the big moves as far as trades go. But now we're going to get into free agencies, and I'm sure or free agent signings. I'm sure this is going to bring back some memories for a lot of the listeners if you've been tuned into the Sabres for a while. But the premier signing was none other than Taylor Hall himself, who inked a 1 year, $8 million deal with the Sabres before eventually being traded. But
Dude,
what did you think
okay,
about
I gotta
this?
step in. I gotta step in. When this deal was traded, the Sabres shot like an entire video about acquiring Taylor Hall and all this stuff, and there's a legendary little, mics in the back room, like picking up Terry's audio. And Terry says, with this move, we're going to be cup contenders.
Oh God.
And when that shit was released, I'm pretty sure we were all like, dude, are you serious? Like, no, 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 like, this is what you think of this horrible team that they're cup contenders? But, dude, Taylor Hall was like, actually, in terms of generating chances, he was pretty damn good, but like had the worst goal scoring luck of his entire career, which of course is so Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah.
Uh just so this all of this that happened in this offseason was to try to make Jack Eichel happy one more time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I feel like Hall necessarily didn't necessarily wasn't like a bad player here, but it just didn't work out like so many others. But didn't he win the Hart like the year
A
he
couple
left
years
us?
prior, yeah, he was unreal.
Oh, a couple years prior. I thought it was after us.
No, before.
Okay, okay. So yeah, but yeah, he goes on and he moves the next year. We'll get into that in a second. But second biggest free agent signing here in 2021, Victor Olofsson himself, a 2 year, $6.1 million deal.
Yeah.
And at the time, maybe you didn't know what was going to happen, but I mean,
At the
hasn't worked
time he
out.
was a young player that like we had and we were like, okay, this guy can score goals. Like
Yeah.
this is great. He's been riding shotgun with Eichel. It's been great. Ugh, and his career here is thankfully over.
But again, one of those things where you look back, it's like, well, at the time, maybe it didn't look like a bad signing. You maybe wish you didn't give him 6.1, but I mean, but you don't know what you're going to get. And if he works out, I mean, that's another player that we have now currently who can score, but it just hasn't panned out unless we're up like 6-1 in the game and he gets an empty net goal. Sam Reinhart, 1 year, $5.2 million deal as an RFA. So avoids arbitration, but we only give him the 1 year deal, so don't sign him to a long
Yep.
term deal. What do you think there?
Sam Reinhart was done with us at
Yeah,
this time. We never prioritized him, never gave him a long-term deal, and this was his way of give me a 1 year deal and walk me straight to UFA.
yeah.
And I'm not playing for you. Like he was done. Like it was like this was it. We ruined the relationship with him, and look what he's doing now, man.
I know, and that's not on Adams. I mean, that all happened
No, I
before
don't think so
he
either.
came in exactly. So can't blame him. I mean, at least in the end, he gets the 1 year deal done. Not able to settle on anything long term after that. But again, you weren't necessarily buying a year for that. You knew he was going to be done, and exactly look where it is now. Speaking of that, Brandon Montour also signs a 1 year, $3.85 million deal. Feel like he wasn't necessarily great with us, anyways. But of course, going on to better things now.
Well, considering we had a terrorist hockey coach for this, like most of this season,
Was
I don't
was
know.
this the Kruger year?
Yeah, yeah, this was a
Yeah.
career year. At the end of the year, Granado was hired. But, dude,
Jesus.
seeing what Montour has done for Florida the last couple years is like so insane because he was not good. Like, I will fight anyone on this with hindsight glasses on. he was not a good Sabre. Like,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
brutal. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, we brought you in because you were like a high end talent. Like, you were once like a good prospect for Anaheim. We trade for you, Brendan Gooley and a first round pick, and it's like, okay, this is our right shot D, this offensive player, and he was like awful. So, goddamn, everyone that comes here, man, is just like having the worst time.
I guess other names, real quick here. We don't have to spend too much time on this, but Allmark, a 1 year, $2.6 million deal. Cody Eakin, 2 years at
Oh my
4.5.
god,
So
the Eakin deal, Jesus Christ, man. Ugh.
so that'll put a bow on 2020. Again, I think it's hard that first, this all happens within, I mean, it's hard in June, and then free agency, in a few months later. I mean, well, free agency is a period, but so this all happens, in a few months time. So it's kind of hard when you're thrown into the fire like that in an organization that's as in much disarray as the Buffalo Sabres were. So as far as 2020 goes, can't fault him for too much, but we
This
certainly will
was
as time goes on.
I will say this offseason, I personally feel like, and I feel like this is the opinion of many, was that this offseason was entirely orchestrated by Ralph Kruger, and Kevyn Adams was just kind of like getting his feet wet as a GM.
Why do you say that? Just because of the moves that were made, or
Yeah, like the moves that were made in this offseason and then the moves like comparatively, they kind of like don't make sense for an Adams vision.
yeah,
Like he was bringing in, a Hall for a year. Like that kind of doesn't make sense for what we've been doing the last 3 seasons.
yeah,
So I think they were trying to win. They were trying to keep Eichel happy, and that relationship was over the year before because even before this year, he asked for a trade. So it's like, what are we doing? Like, why are we trying to keep this one player happy? Like, we missed our window on trading Eichel, and I love Alex Tuck. Don't get me wrong, and I hope Peyton Krebs evolves, and I like Isaac Rosen as a first round pick. But I think we missed our window by 1 year trading for Jack Eichel or
yeah,
trading
sure,
Jack Eichel away. I mean,
yeah.
because he
It's
was
not.
already unhappy. It was over, and it was over.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think of the? And I can go through some of the names. I'm sure you remember, anyways. But as far as like the roster that Adams inherits here in 2020, like what were your overall thoughts on it? I mean, obviously you have Eichel, you got Olofsson, Reinhart, you have Dahlin, Middlestat, Ristolainen, Thompson, Skinner, Montour, Cousins. So like opposed to, so like you have these guys. So like, what are your thoughts? Because I think that's a big thing to kind of like lay the groundwork of like where we go from here too. Is like how far off do you think this team in 2020 was? Obviously point wise, and you talked about that earlier. But like, do you think Adams inherited a bad team, or was it?
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Cousins was young.
yeah,
His first year in the league, like Eichel still wasn't. There's some misconceptions about Jack Eichel as a Saber because he was not this two-way beast that he is now, like 4 years later. Like he is an incredible hockey player, always has been an incredible offensive player.
yeah.
He wasn't McDavid. Like he wasn't. There was a time where he was probably like the 10th, the 12th best center, like best center in the league, or
Mm-hmm.
best forward in the league. I mean,
Yeah.
overall, which was his absolute peak. But he was nowhere near a top five player. Like, so it does kind of suck that like we didn't even get the best of him because he's a pretty damn good number one center in Vegas right now.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of the offense, he's added defense, which he never had here because he was so
Yeah.
young.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you're right. The team was so young. I mean, Darlene was 20, Thompson 23, Cousins 19. I mean, this is
Yep.
before you hear those names now, and it's like, oh, this doesn't sound like a bad roster, but it wasn't. It obviously wasn't the way back then. They really just had a few pieces. But all right, we'll move. We'll put a bow on 2020, and we'll move on to 2021 here. So it kind of called this hitting the reset. I mean, this was a big off season. 20 the season obviously didn't go the way that they wanted it to, and we needed to kind of make some moves. This ultimately is the year that we move on from Michael as well, but we'll kind of start from the beginning here. So trading Brandon Montour for a 2021 third round pick, and Steven Sardarian, which he's still with the organization as a reserve player. We trade Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar to Boston for Anders Bjork and 2021 second round pick, who is Alexander Kisikov, who we both kind of like. I mean, but he's obviously a young player, so he's got to kind of mature. But there's the end of the Taylor Hall saga as far
Can I add,
as
can I add something?
yeah. Go ahead.
People got on Kevyn Adams for this trade because it wasn't enough, but Taylor Hall had a full no trade clause, and he picked Boston that year. So not really anything you can do when you give a guy a full no trade and your team sucks and he's like trade me to this specific team. Like not really much you can do there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so then is it his fault for? I mean, I don't. I guess I don't totally understand how the no trades work. Like why would Hall? Because I'm wondering if this was like a negotiation flaw on Kevyn Adams' part. Like why would that be worked in? Like why? Because it's just why
Because
would
it
Hall
got
even
him
want
here.
it?
Because it got him here, and then he got to pick his destination. Like no trades work where like if I want to trade you to Depew, but you have no trade protection, you can just say I'm not fucking going. So
Right.
then if I
Okay.
want to
So then
trade
he
you,
knew if they were
but
shit, he could just be like, "Oh, I'll waive it if you send me to this
yeah,
specific team, which is
exactly. So
Boston."
he's like send me to Boston and I'll waive my no trade.
Okay. All right. So it gives him more control. It
Yeah.
gives the
So
player control.
he got control and we got the player basically like in the deal. So in the signing, it was like a give and take.
I see.
Some
So that makes
some
sense. So
GMs hand out
maybe
no
Adams needed that in there.
some GMs hand out no trades like fucking crazy. Like Nick Delorier has a 10-team no trade clause for Philly.
It's like
It's
Oprah.
insane.
You get a no
It's
trade.
insane.
You get a no
Yeah,
trade.
it's crazy. Some teams hand them out like candy.
Bjork is like not even in the league anymore. I don't even know if he's playing
No, he's
anymore.
not.
Yeah. Then we trade Rasmus Ristolainen to Philly. Nice little trade here. So for Robert Haig, who he's kind of bounced around to a few teams since this trade back in 2021. He's now he last played last season with the Anaheim Ducks AHL affiliate, so he's in the AHL right now. But we get Robert Haig, we get a 2021 first round pick, which turned into Isaac Rosen, and then a 2023 second round pick, which turned into Anton Wahlberg. Both players that we like, but again, young kids, so you're kind of rebuilding here. Trade Sam Reinhart to Florida Panthers for Devin Levi's signing rights and a 2022 first round pick, which turned into Yuri Kulik. Any thoughts on either one of those before I get into the Eichel?
I was pumped about the Risto trade because everyone knows Risto is bad.
Yeah,
I mean, Tortorella kind
that's
of
a
turned him
pretty
into a
decent haul, honestly.
decent defender. And I misspoke earlier. I said Rosen. I meant Oslin when I was talking about the Eichel trade. But yeah, our
You
first round
always
pick.
get that one messed up.
I do. They're both Swedish, man. It messes me up. Dude. So yeah, good trade. This was great. Like you said, this was definitely like I feel like trading Risto was the first domino that was like, okay, this
Yeah,
core is done. Like it's over. The core is done, and it's a new age.
yeah, because before that, your previous trade was Montour, a 1 year UFA, Taylor Hall, a 1 year UFA, but Ristolainen, a little bit more of a bigger piece and a tenured player. So then we get into then we got the Jack Eichel trade, which everyone knows we traded Eichel for and a 2023 third round pick for Peyton Krebs, Alex Tuck, a 2022 first, which was Noah Oslin, and then a 2023 second round pick, which ended up being Riley Height, who's with Minnesota now. And I just put in here this. I don't know if you know anything about this kid or not, but this 2023 third round pick that we gave to Vegas turned into this Matthew Cataford.
Yeah,
Dude had a pretty nice season in the QMJHL last year, 92 points, 40 goals, and 52 assists. So who knows if he's going to be a player or not, but
dude.
nice little year last year.
Gotta tell you, as much as we love Veselov Komarov, the QMJHL is not a real league.
Yeah, I know. Like
It's
that point,
it's a
those
shit.
point
It
totals are
is a
crazy.
shit league. Like
Yeah,
honestly, this goes back to like the 80s and shit. The Q has always been a league where guys put up massive numbers. Like I don't know what
yeah,
it is, what they're doing over there in the French Canadian section of Canada, but dude, those kids they just put up massive numbers all the time. So
yeah,
maybe he's something, maybe not. It's crazy.
yeah. So you don't know, but I mean, as of right now, again, you don't know what Austin's going to be. That other pick we got isn't even with the organization anymore. So you got Tuck, which he's nice, but who knows what's going to happen there? And I don't know. I don't know. A couple years ago, when Vegas missed the playoffs in the first year, we traded Jack to him, and that gave us a better pick. everyone's saying, "Oh my God!" But Sabres fleeced Vegas. They totally won the trade, and now you fast forward a couple years later, and you look at the results, and Jack's a Vegas or he's a Stanley Cup champion. You're like, maybe we didn't win this trade. I don't know. But then moving on from that, well, that's actually all the trades. I put in here a few waiver claims that Kevyn Adams also had in 2021, which were all pretty much inconsequential as well. Drake Kaguya, Axel Johnson, Jalby, and then Christian Wolainen. So
Dude, it's so
those are
funny. I feel like Johnson Fialbi was on our team for like a week. And I have no recollection of this player at all. I don't even know who that is. Fuck is
yeah.
Christian Wolanin? Who's that? I have no idea. Then you know me. I'm a geek. I know every player. I know where they lived. I know what junior team they played on. This person, this is a made up name, like an EA Sports generated name.
Dude, okay, so I got a question for you because I this was interesting to me, but you're obviously a much more intelligent hockey mind, so I'm interested to see what your
Don't
answer is.
don't gas me up. Don't gas me up.
All right, so how many waiver claims do you think the Sabres have had in their history as an organization? If
Oh,
you
I
had to
don't
just
fucking
guess,
know. I have no idea.
like, do you think it's a lot? Do you think it's a little, or what?
I don't know. I I'm gonna say a lot.
Dude, it's only 18.
That's interesting. I wonder what that like waivers are kind of ass, dude. Like you get really no one on waiver. Like I get it. Like Jason Pominville was waived at one point, so like some other team could have gotten Jason Pominville, who was awesome. But I feel like waivers are like not where you kind of pick up
No, 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 no.
players.
All the names on the list were like, and that's 18. Like as far that's like waiver, like successful waiver claims, like from another team, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right,
obviously, guys go clear waivers all the time and just come back or whatever, but
right.
that 18
That's
number
so funny.
was
18 in their whole history. That's actually kind of interesting.
yeah, yeah. I actually found like a cool little article that was explaining all of them. So shout out to whoever put that together. But yeah, okay. So then so that's pretty much it. Let's get into the as far as the moves there. Let's get into the. Let me pull it up right now. The free agents then, and this is where you're gonna get pissed because there's nobody. There's literally nobody of consequence that we signed as a 2021 free agent. The top free agent contract we handed out was to Vinny Hinostroza, a 1 year, $1 million deal. That was the
Yep.
top free agent from 2021. Other than that,
Well, dude, they
Mark
didn't. They did.
Pysyk,
They did a
Ethan
similar thing.
Prowl, no
2022
names
was the
here.
same. 2022 was literally the exact same.
Yeah. So I guess we'll get to that, in later on. But yeah, 2021. So again, I guess here it's just like we made these moves. We're kind of hitting the reset. I don't necessarily hate what was done here. I think Kevyn Adams, again, he's kind of like this is a year and a half after he gets hired. Well, pretty much like 1 year after he gets hired. So he's still kind of picking up some of the pieces that were left from the previous regime. And you can see where he gets some good pieces and turn them into good things. So I don't necessarily hate where we're at right now. You're not gonna be able to sign any big fish in free agency where the organization was at. And I feel like he didn't do too bad with the trades. Any overarching thoughts here from you before I let you go into 2022?
No, this was like the start of the do something Kevin like movement. Like
Yeah,
do something, dude. Like
right.
are you asleep?
To do something movement. I like it. I like it. All right. Well, I'll let you take over here heading into 2022.
Okay, so the 2022 offseason. This
Third
was the
off season
season.
as a GM.
It started off with us trading for Ben Bishop, a goalie that was affiliated with Dallas. He was a good goalie for a long time, but he was never playing hockey again. The Sabres needed this contract to hit the salary floor. That is how I knew we weren't doing shit this offseason. Like this is the offseason. We have these little titles for our offseason. This was the salary restriction offseason.
Yeah.
Pagula is still operating under like their own cap hit, like below the ceiling, and it's like we're not doing anything. Like spend as little money as possible, and we'll try to get results that way. Like we are moneyballing it right now in like the worst way. So we do that, and then we end up trading Robert Hagg to Florida for a sixth, whatever. We extend Olofsson again for another 2-year deal. We extend Hinostroza again for a 1-year deal.
Which
Uh,
I kind of liked Vinny,
I
honestly.
like
I'm not
Vinny
gonna
too. He
lie.
did his job. We always said he did
Yeah,
his job. Like good,
yeah.
good little fourth line, like utility player. Like you need those kind of guys. Gave Jacob Bryson a 2-year deal, which he was brutal like for a bit, and then last year I kind of in his like little cameos that he had, he kind of wasn't that bad. Like we can talk about like whether you want to bring him back as a seventh D now because his contract is expired, but I think I'm kind of open to that.
Yeah, we both said last episode we'd be fine with that.
And then we signed Craig Anderson, which, dude, Craig Anderson, he was here for a short time, but man, I love that guy. He was
Yeah,
so awesome. Like, I wish we got Craig Anderson when he was 27 years old and not like 36 or whatever the age we
I
signed him
know.
at.
Yeah, yeah. He was a sweet goalie.
Loved him. He was awesome. And we brought him out of retirement, dude. Like, do you remember when we signed him?
Well, he's
And
still with us, right? He's like
he's
a
like a
goalie
coach now, like
development or
goalie
yeah,
development. He texts Evan Levi and UPL when he wants to get a beer.
yeah.
Um, dude, this guy was so fucking good for us. Like, I could gush about how awesome he was. Like, it made me emotional. Did we go to the game together, or did I go with someone else? Like his last game,
The
dude. It made me.
retirement game. I don't. I don't
No,
think
it
I was
wasn't
there. I
you.
think I watched it on TV. Yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't you. I'm replacing. It was another friend. My bad.
yeah.
But dude, him like
The
cuddling,
bastard.
like hugging his kids and stuff, and his wife, like just made me want to cry. Like this guy is a beloved Saber. I'm glad he's still in the organization. Anyway, mid-season, this was great. We extended Tage Thompson to his, in my opinion, sweetheart deal. It's 7 years, 7.1 million. We gave Matthias Samuelson a weird 7-year deal, 4.2 million, and it's like that's a good cap number for Sammy based
Yeah,
on like
it's
what
appropriate.
he could be if his like body wasn't made of glass.
Yeah,
But 7 years for a guy that played like 40 games at the time, that was crazy.
yeah.
And then UPL got another 2-year deal, and Dylan Cousins got a 7-year deal in February. So it's like these guys are playing well. Like this is the first year where it's like, holy shit, like we might have something here. Like this is great. This is fun. Don Granato is coaching a fast, fun hockey team. Like we almost made the playoffs, dude. Like we almost made the damn playoffs. 1 point.
Meatballs was in the kitchen. He was
One
cooking.
cooking. 1 point. Like Adams didn't really do much to like again, the bottom of the roster was, not the best, but we missed the playoffs by a point, and it's like, holy shit, dude, like we got something cooking here. He also at the deadline traded for Riley Stillman for that playoff push. Uh, traded Anders Bjork to Chicago for future considerations, and traded away Rasmus Absalin, and we picked up Tyson Jost in November, which is like, he was a decent saver.
Yeah,
Overall,
and we got Greenway too,
oh
right?
yeah, how could I forget about Jordan Greenway, dude? I love the guy.
Yeah,
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 that was for our little playoff push, and
yeah. But do you think that was enough?
I don't think they should have been doing deadline moves like anyway. Like we kind of like fell ass backwards into missing by a point. Like we lost.
That's
Like
true
we
because
won.
Levi came in and played the lights
Yeah,
out at the end.
we
Yeah,
literally had to win like almost all of our games to make the playoffs, and we kind of almost did.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what makes this
Yeah, that's a good
season that
point.
just happened so frustrating because it was literally the same exact scenario. This time we just couldn't, win the games we needed to win.
Yeah.
So okay, 2020 who happens. Do you have an overall thought about what you thought going into last offseason
Going into last offseason,
after the excitement of 2022?
I think it was the same thing. It was like, come on, Kevin, we need to make a move, right? Like you have the growth. You started to extend your players, so you're starting to identify your core, and that's great. You want to show the rest of the league that we're developing guys, that we're developing talent, that we're signing our guys, right? That we're developing a framework for the team. So I feel like from that aspect, you started to feel a little bit of progress, right? There was obviously excitement and buzz around the team again. And Adams was doing things. It's not like he was doing nothing. He just hadn't made the big move yet. So I think that's what we all were hoping for, and that we'll talk about that everyone knows we never really got, but I think again I felt like it was appropriate, kind of like what he was doing was appropriate, but then it was the season of the off season. Going into the off season was we missed by a point. We're pretty close. Let's make that final push and get there. You know.
Yeah, and we never really did. Like we kind of just like going into 2023, it's like Kevin almost thought that, well, Tage put up 47 goals or whatever he had, he'll do it again. Or like
Mm-hmm.
Cousins scored 30, he'll do it again. I feel like there was a lot of hubris going into the offseason. Like, oh, these guys had an unreal offensive year, they're not going to regress at all. And clearly we know what happened. So
Yeah.
let's go into that. The
Yeah.
2023
The other problem is that the other problem at this stage is that there's not there's not enough depth on the team. Like you can't if a guy goes down to injury or someone's like in a rut and not playing well, like we still don't have enough players there to fill in and create more of and ease that the burden of that player, whatever. So I think that's a problem here too, and that's gonna come with time, I guess, and maybe some of these players. But I think that's a problem we have is that we don't have just like the dude depth as far as like the NHL player depth goes.
Right.
So
So let's fast forward to this past offseason. So Craig Anderson's gone, obviously. He was gone.
did you mention Jost real quick? You talked about Jost. I
Yeah,
mean, it's kind of like whatever, but
yeah.
yeah. He
So
was a waiver claim, and
Jost is back. Um, Oposo and Gergensons are back. Levi, after his little stint at the end of the previous season, is locked into the starting goalie spot. Which, in hindsight, it's like, really, dude? Like, why? What? Why are we doing this? Like, what? It's so funny because when we were talking about this, we were like all on the Levi train when we started the show,
yeah,
and now it's like, okay, it wasn't that great.
yeah. Hindsight's 2020. Going back to listen, well, a couple weeks ago, I forget what you said. You said something about you were like, oh, remember when Don decided to start Levi for like 8 games in a row, and I was like, yeah, we kind of said it was a good idea. I'm like, we were totally on board with that.
So, dude, also brings in Eric Johnson. Oh my God, one of the worst savers of all time. 1 year deal. Gets traded before like in February or March, whenever the deadline was. Gives Darlene his 11-year or 8-year deal. He's going to be our next captain. So I love Rasmus Darlene. Can't say enough about him. Gives him Power that deal, which some were saying too early, but I'm on the Owen Power train and I'm fine with it. Uh, and then after being drafted in June, Zach Benson makes the team, which is like unheard of for a 13th overall pick. And you know how much we love Zach Benson. I cherish him every single day of my life. He is my 19-year-old son,
Yep, he's a
um,
goblin.
Goblin. Trade, and then to say we're not doing shit. We're not doing shit this season. We're bad again. What's going on? The power play's not working. Nothing's working. What does Kevyn Adams do? Trades a 7th round pick that turned into absolutely nothing for Eric Robinson. Wow, what a move, Kevin. Great job. Great job. And sit on your hands some more. That'll help. And then our captain gets traded to Florida. And it's like, okay, it's over. This we're not making playoffs. It's fine. Our captain, it comes out later that he kind of gave up on us, months earlier, and it was just a whole shebang there. Just awful. And it's like there's not really anything to talk about here. Like we know what happened. We sent Levi back to Rochester and he was awesome. And what what should have been done was they should have bolstered the bottom six. Don't bring back Zergergensen and Oposo again. Like, go get new players, go get new blood. Maybe transition the leadership group from Oposo to Oposo and Gergensen to Darlene, and maybe Tage doesn't break his hand. I don't know, but
Yeah,
coaching kind of ruined us last year. Like we've said that before. All like Don Granado's gone now. Lindy
for
Ruff
sure.
is in, but the big move that I want to discuss is moving out Casey Middlestat from Bowen Byram at the deadline this year.
Yep.
That kind of like opens up a hole at third line center for us, like a massive one.
Mm-hmm.
And it adds another dynamic defenseman in Byram who I like, and he was pretty good the first year until our the Don Granato masterclass coaching got into him, and changed him as a player. But it's going to be crazy the way they line up next year because I'm pretty sure they're going to do Power Darlene together, and then you're going to need Byram with a new partner. And there's a massive hole at 3C. So I feel like the two positions that are like the most obvious holes are a partner for Byram and a third line center because of the hole left by Casey Middlestat.
Would you be comfortable with Samuelson as with Byram or no?
I don't
Or do
know,
you
man.
think he needs to be third pair?
I
And then
I
there's a
would
conversation of like Clifton, and it's like Clifton just seems like, although he didn't play bad, it's like, is he a guy that we can move? Like, I
well,
don't know.
and then you have Henry Yokiharu still in the organization, which I think he's going to get moved personally because he kind of doesn't fit. Like you're going to put him with Byram, and then you're running the same defense as last year. Basically, it's like it's not going to work. Like
No.
it's not going to work. So I don't know. I don't know. This season sucked. Like we got on here and talked all year, and it wasn't fun, man. Like we had no fun talking about this team.
Well, so I guess because that kind of brings us to the end of this exercise. I'll kind of go do my little brain dump here, and then you can kind of go on your whatever final thoughts you might have. But going through this, the kind of the final thought I have is like, as far as like the lifeline of Kevyn Adams goes, it feels like I was kind of fine with the first couple years. Like he comes in and he did what he could and helped to kind of reset things. The obvious failure was the comfort at the end of year 3 to 4. That's kind of where I feel like his first big mistake was, and that I that's where I needed to see more of the like the shark attitude, where it's like, listen, we were a point away. I know we're not going to blow things up, but like we have all these prospects. Like we needed a bigger move than Eric Johnson. We needed a bit bigger move than Connor Clifton. Like so that's where I think, and a lot of fans feel like that's where the failure is, and that's where I have my reservations about him as a whole. Of like, can he get that big thing, that big deal done? Can he get these players in here that we need? Just because there was certainly a level of complacency at the end of that 2023 season, and it rolled into the offseason. And then the team was apparently complacent in training camp too. So it's just, it feels like now they're saying the right things, but they should have been saying that at the end of 2023. And all we got from Adams' press conference at the end of that season was shaking off answers about, no, this season wasn't a failure. We saw all these great things, and like, yeah, while that's true, Kevyn, it's like you still missed the playoffs, and you've been here 3 years. You're 0 for 3. Now you're 0 for 4. Like you gotta get things moving, and you got to do what you got to do. So I think that's kind of what my major thought is as I go through this, and then also just that he hasn't been able to sign anything significant in free agency, and that could just be a product of being in Buffalo right now and just not being enticing for free agents. But that's an obvious spot that he's lacking in right now as well.
Can I say something funny?
Yeah.
In this entire exercise, we overlooked the three-headed monster goalie rotation we had, and we just completely disregarded Eric Comrie as a member of the Sabres organization.
Well, he was, yeah, okay. So he was brought in. When was he brought in? He was brought in 2022, right?
Yeah,
So he would have been in 2022.
yeah. So he was here, and then we ran the. You remember this year we had three goalies?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there he is, 2022.
I
Well,
totally,
that dude, that was your area, man. You were
I
supposed to
know.
talk about the gummy
I,
bear.
dude. There are guys that I just forget about. Labushkin, he was fun. Scored against Tampa. That was fun. We
Yeah,
also
yeah,
missed the
yeah,
playoffs, so it's like fuck him.
yeah.
But I totally forgot about Eric Comrie. The guy
Well,
is so
that
nice, but I forget about him.
that was 2022 in a nutshell. As far as
Yep,
free agents go, it was Labushkin at oh my god, we gave him a 2 year, we gave him $5.5 million, and then Comrie three
yep.
point six 3.6 million. So yeah, I mean Comrie, great dude, nice dude, but just didn't work out here. But I mean, again, that's another one. Like I don't know, man. I know goalies are tough, but like he had like really like one good year, and they gave him some money. So I mean, whatever. Like it's easy to say with hindsight, but we didn't have any other options. Like at the time, Levi wasn't a thing yet. He came in at the end of the year, and then he had UPL who was not working out. So you
Right.
had to get somebody.
Yeah. And then, UPL worked out this year. Comrie just, got paid to be here for a little bit, and Levi was in Rochester. So it's like, all right. Thanks, Eric. Thanks for just riding pine and being a good guy and hanging out.
But don't you feel like these last 2 years, like free agency, has been such a failure for Adams? It's like, come
Oh
on,
yeah,
like,
it's
dude,
been
like
brutal.
2022, like, and that's aside from the complacency, like we talked about, that's my biggest gripe. Where it's like 2020, like the 2022 offseason and the offseason last year were the years where you should have been making moves, and you sign Labushkin and Comrie as your big free agents in 2022, and then last season Connor Clifton, Eric Johnson. Like, there's got to be more done during the offseason. Like, there's
Yeah,
just
and
got to be.
I'm not one to like want to sign UFAs in the first place. Like I think if you're gonna sign a UFA, it's either like like Jake Gensel's a UFA. Whoever signs Jake Gensel this year is getting an awesome player. But most teams, I feel like UFA is used to go sign like your grinders, like your guys that are actually going to play a role, like your penalty killers, your fourth liners, your third pair D, that aren't Eric Johnson level bad.
Hmm. You think Lindy will help Adams with that?
Yes, I think Lindy has pull. I think Lindy's coached thousands of players in this league, and they've all mostly had success under him, save for like a couple seasons in Dallas, they weren't great. Um, in this year in New Jersey, which I don't think was his fault at all. So I think Lindy's got pull. I think the Sabres are still an exciting team, and we're going to have difficulty pulling players anyway just because of our area. But I do think our proximity to Toronto nightlife might be like a plus. So
But you
who
have
knows,
money
man?
too. I mean,
And
that's
we
what
got
that's what I'm
money.
saying. Like, you
We
got
can
money.
overpay.
Like, you
I
can
don't give a fuck.
overpay. Like,
Dude,
pay the bad team tax. I don't care.
I don't care anymore. Like I I just want if we overpaid Steven Stamkos and gave him an extra year, I'd be hyped.
That's crazy you said that. I literally just wrote Steven Stamkos down on my phone because I know we're going to talk about like
Yeah.
UFAs in a minute. So as you were saying his name, I was putting it down on my list. But yeah, I'm just like, dude, this is a big offseason for him. And this is why we did this because as far as what he's done so far, you can probably say he's kind of in the middle. But this is a year to do it. I mean, you can't go over 5. If he doesn't make the playoffs this year, he's likely out. And so now's your time to do it, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Hashtag wake up Kevyn.
So, dude, let's I actually just missed exactly what you said because I was checking the score of the Florida and the Oilers
What?
game, and
Yeah, I
Florida's up
forget that
four to
too.
one.
Florida's up 4-1.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, fucking Oposo is gonna get a Stanley Cup championship. But at least that pick for him is gonna go from a 7th to a 5th, so I'll take that.
Yeah, we gave this fucker exactly what he wanted. You know what's
And
crazy?
500K.
Can we talk about the 500K? Can we talk about the
Yeah,
interview that he
yeah.
just did with Frank Saravelli? He had one foot out the door already, man. They gave him a $500,000 bonus for winning the Stanley Cup. He wasn't winning the Stanley Cup with the Buffalo Sabres.
No.
They knew. He did the Taylor Hall. He literally did the Taylor Hall. Come here for a little bit, waffle around and try to maybe do something good, but if it's not working, you're going to get traded to a contender because you're a veteran and you're going to provide some leadership.
And he's
And
gonna get $500,000.
got exactly what he wanted, so
It's
that's great.
bullshit, man. That pisses me off even more.
And people are like, oh, don't trash him. I'm not trashing him. I like the guy. I want the Sabres to hire him after he retires. Like maybe if he retires this season, I want him in our organization. I think he's a smart
Yeah.
hockey person. I think he's a great guy. His family loved it here, but
Yeah, he just failed the team.
he
Like,
just
that's
didn't.
just honest.
He did exactly what I would have done in his situation, and that pisses me off.
I don't know.
Like,
I'm more hard on him, but like, yeah, I don't know. We might be the only like Sabres podcast that's just like, yeah, screw Kyle Poso. But
and we're
like,
screwed.
it's
It's
not.
fine. It's not.
It's
It's
not
not like that.
personal, but
No,
it's
it's not
just
like that.
like I said. I just I've always kind of been whatever with him, where it's just like, hey, you had a job to do, you didn't do it. But all the shit that's come out about him and giving up in October and now this, I'm like, all right, I'm hoping that Oilers can pull the reverse sweep out here.
Oh my God. So I have some. Let's move into this offseason coming up for a little bit here because I've got some names here for you that I want to talk about.
Yep.
I wrote Martin Necas down here. I don't want to touch Martin Necas with a 10-foot pole. He's an exciting offensive player, and I think not playing in Carolina's terrorist system, I think he can be really good. But he's very, very similar to Jack Quinn and JJ Peterka, and we already have Jack Quinn and JJ Peterka.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, and he's going to get a big deal. He's going to get an 8-year deal. I don't want to do that. My number one target is Pavel Buchnevich. If he was coached by Lindy before, um, he is a fucking stud, man. Like analytically, he's a gem, two-way player. He can score. He can bang. If St. Louis is looking to rebuild, that would be the guy that I would want to play on one of our top two lines, like replacing the Jeff Skinner replacement, or playing with Zach Benson and insert third line center here on the third line.
Yeah.
Do you have any trade guys that you want to talk about, or do you want to talk about UFA? So I can go on about these other trade pieces too.
As far as trades go, dude, I would love. I don't know if it's what's going to happen, but I'm thinking about teams that are in like cap trouble, and dude, if the Sabres could somehow get some of these Florida Panthers, like I would love like a Carter Verhaeghe like to
Yeah,
come over. Like I don't know, he just he's a playoff performer. He's clutch. He just watching him in the playoffs, like he's a guy that I would like to target. Obviously, everyone's mentioned like Sam Bennett, so they're kind of a team that I would maybe look at and go after a little bit. But those might be two of my top couple like trade targets.
right.
I mean, I like some of
Um,
these names you put down here too, like Sorelli. Kadri's another name that I really like too. I know he's a little older, but
he'd be the perfect fit, dude.
he still buzzes out there.
I think he's awesome. I think he's like a prick out there. Like I don't care about the money. I know he's owed $7 million. He's owed 7 million in cap over the next 4 years as a 34-year-old. Like that's a big money to swallow. But with the cap going up, and it's going up to 88 million this offseason, and potentially 92 million plus the season after.
Yeah,
Like we can afford another $7 million player. They were going to give Middlestat $7 million, so it's like you're just kind of like giving that money to another guy that plays a different style.
yeah,
So
sure,
Ellie, I have this take where I don't think teams need to trade Kulik and Savoy level prospects to get high end talent. I just don't think prospects really get traded like that. Like it doesn't really happen. Like those guys, they go through the minors and they come up on the team that they're there for. The last one I could think of was Cutter Gauthier, but he kind of just forced his way out this year. And the one before that is like Braden Shen in like 2009 was like the last high end prospect I found that was like gonna be a star get traded. So like it doesn't really happen.
yeah.
Sorelli would need to be a Savoy or Kulik level trade. Like he is that good. Offensive, defensive, he's fantastic. Brock Nelson, a little older, pretty damn good, man. Pretty damn good player. He's old though. He's like 34. And then some local guys. Joel Farabee, he's from Syracuse, I think, and Alex Iafallo, two wingers that could play on your second or third line, and that would be fantastic. That's what we kind of need. We just kind of need guys that are good hockey players.
Do you think? What do you think about Vegas? Vegas Knights. They got some names that are interesting to me, and
I
as far
agree.
as trades go, like I don't know. What do you think about like a Shea Theodore, like a Braden McNabb? You know,
I don't think the Sabres should be acquiring any more left-handed defensemen. We already have so many. You got
how do
fuck.
dude? You're crazy that you know all that shit.
You
How do
got
you know they're
fucking.
left-handed?
You got Owen Power. You got
But
Darlene. You
that's
got
what they like.
Samuelson. I don't know. I need another right shot in the mix here, and I think because it's hard to play as a right-sided defender on a left shot. It's just difficult. Like Shea Theodore's done it before. I am so fucked up right now. I gotta speak. Let me speak. Okay, let me reset. We're resetting. Okay, three, two, one. All right, let's go. Shea Theodore has played the right side before and been good at it, but I don't know. I just don't like it. I think Rasmus Dahlin is kind of like a unicorn in that sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've said they don't really care about handedness,
I
but
know they don't. It
they're
scares
just
me.
another team, that's kind of up there as far as like cap trouble or like cap cash. They're gonna have to figure a lot of shit out
You know what's
for
funny?
them, but
Our best teams that we've had in the last 30 years, well, 20 years, I guess you could say, the '05 to '07 teams, they had 5 defenders that shot left on the team. One right shot.
there you go, there you go.
I know. I know.
Jack Rosovic is a name that I like.
Yeah, he could play down the lineup. Another good, decent player down the lineup. There's a lot of guys, man. There's a lot of guys available that could come here and transform our bottom six.
Yeah, Tyler Toffoli, like I'm like that
Venberg,
name.
Alex Venberg, Mantha, Anthony Mantha, Warren Fogle, who just picked up a kneeing penalty in the finals. I mean, I would like a guy. I would like a Warren Fogle on our team. Will Carrier. Let's bring back Will Carrier. He
Yeah,
was
Carrier would be nice.
he hits. He's fast. It's something we don't have.
Hmm
And then you know who I really like, who's impressed me in the finals, and he's a UFA this year, is Kevyn Stedman. Dude, this guy is a monster. He is like 6'5", wins faceoffs for Florida, and he's getting paid like 750K.
Yeah,
Think we could like double his salary and give him 1.5 million to come play fourth line center for us?
I mean, I'd be fine with that.
So
Do you think they have
there's
a shot?
options.
Do you think they have a shot at the big D names like a Zadorov or like a Tanev?
No, they have zero shot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Dylan DeMello from Winnipeg or Brendan Dillon from Winnipeg or who else is out there that you like? You like Brady Shea? I wouldn't mind him coming in, but again, it's another left shot.
What about Tyler Myers?
I'm not even kidding, dude. I would give Tyler Myers a 2-year deal.
Yeah, I know. Like
He's a,
it's
he's a
interesting for sure.
rock solid. He's turned into a
Yeah,
rock.
I mean,
You don't think?
he's only 34, but it's not like he wouldn't have to play like big minutes, so you can
No.
manage that.
If they could move Clifton off the team, and then you're
Hmm
running a Sammy Myers third pair, I feel like that's a good third pair.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Two
I mean
tall,
that's a
two big guys blocking
yep,
shots.
yep. We get a little PK, so like
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
that's actually a good shout.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of messing around on Cap Friendly while I can for another couple weeks. So
All right, oh, dude, it's so. My dream signing. Okay, it's not a dream signing. I was making a joke, but I would like the Sabres to sign Patrick Kane, dude. It would be so much fun.
okay,
It'd be fun.
yep, yep. I mean, we weren't on it last year, but this year, I mean, again, like we said last week, he showed he's healthy and he can play. I mean, I know he's another year older, but I mean, I would be fine with that, and he'd certainly help with the power play. You would think.
But you guys,
That's where
there,
Lindy might help. Like Patrick Kane, like he's not going to come play for Don Granato, right? But you have
it's
some
Lindy
pedigree
Ruff.
now behind the bench. Like you could come back and play. Like playing for Lindy Ruff after growing up like a Sabres fan, like it might be enough to get him in. Maybe this is all Terry's secret plan is I got to get Lindy and then I got to get Kane and I'm going to start selling tickets again.
Well, dude, so I don't think there's really any more names we can talk about here because like there are so many available that they could pick like, 2 or 3 guys out of this list here and I'd be like pretty happy about it.
I know there is a lot available.
So, all in all, it's already July 13th. We got like what? Well, if Florida's going to go up 3-0, the series is going to be over soon. So right after the finals is usually when teams start making actual moves. And then we only have like a week until the draft. So it's like, holy
Hmm
shit, dude, it's everything. And then 4 days later is free agency.
Yep.
So I feel like not next week, but like the week after, like when the finals are over at some point, I think it'll be next week. That like 2 week period, I think we're going to see a lot of movement from teams. And I think the Sabres are going to be a team that makes a lot of moves.
Yeah, I hope so. They have to be. I mean, they haven't done anything over the last couple of years, and maybe that's been purposeful for Adams because he's been waiting to kind of see what his pieces do and develop into and kind of settle things in. And this is the year he's really hoping to attack it. But one thing's for sure is that he certainly has to do it. He can't be complacent for another offseason. Hopefully Terry's got the checkbook open and we're, gonna hopefully spend up to the cap like we need to do. And a lot of that'll remain to be seen, and we'll reflect on that as we go. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. There's certainly a lot of names. We brought some of these names up today, and anyone can go on and look and see what's out there. There's a lot available, so we'll see if the Sabres identify the right guys and get them in. But you want to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs here?
So yeah, I mean, we just said it. Florida might be going up 3-0 here. And game one, Edmonton was way better, but game two, Florida was just shutting them down, man.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. These freaking games starting at like 8:30 or like 8:45 or 8, like they're kind of killing me. Like I haven't even been able to watch too much. I mean I've tuned in for a little, but I haven't even watched much of the Stanley Cup just because I've been I've been I've been so busy at work. So by the time I get home, I'm just like ready to shut it down. And I've fallen asleep during pretty much every game here. So I haven't caught too much of it. Obviously, Bobrovsky was just an absolute animal in game one. And I mean, so you look at he's let in 2 goals. Dude, two.
Yeah,
If this stays 4-1, he's letting 2 goals in 3 games. Like
yeah, that's unreal, man.
the Oilers aren't coming back from that. I don't care how good McDavid is. Like Bobrovsky is just playing out of his mind right now. So
Yeah, and it's the
uh,
defense too. It's the defense for Florida, dude. They are
yeah,
just
you're right. They don't make mistakes.
they're big. They don't make mistakes. They have sticks in the lanes constantly. They're not overcommitting. I mean, we all talked about Edmonton's power play and how unreal they are, and they're scoring like at an unbelievable clip. I've never seen a team pressure them defensively like Florida does. Like
Yeah.
as soon as McDavid does his little wind around the net and try to like cut in and make a pass, there's a guy on him instantly. It's wild, man. Like they're doing amazing. And then when they break down, they have a breakdown here or there. Bobrovsky is there to save the day.
Do you think? Do you think Paul Maurice is the best coach in the NHL?
It's so funny because like them getting Paul Maurice was clowned for a while. Like they were like, this guy can't coach. He's not great anymore. He's past his prime. He's awful. And look at him, man. Look at the way he's been coaching this team for the
Dude,
last two
I know
seasons.
he's, and I just love his like. I just appreciate so much his like in-game interviews too, because he's just so like, oh my god, there'd be so many times where they'd interview Don, during the game, and you could tell he's like just deer in the headlights, right? He's just like and he starts doing his rambling thing because he doesn't know what to say, so he's trying to over-explain, and then you get these interviews from Paul Maurice, and he's just calm, cool, collected, just like saying the right thing, just like, oh, we'll be fine, and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I thought he was awesome last year and this year, and it's just he seems to pull the right levers and say the right things. I don't know who I'd put above him right now as far as coaches go.
Yeah,
He might he might he's clearly one of the best currently, but
he's certainly up there with like the Rick Tocchet and they had a bad season, but I consider Mike Sullivan a good coach still in Pittsburgh.
yeah.
Uh, Brad Cooper in Tampa. Like there's a lot of guys out there, but Paul Maurice is definitely one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, back to back couple appearances, and who knows? You don't want to put the cart before the horse. They still have to win 4 games, but likely a Stanley Cup championship this year too. But yeah, a little. Are you a little surprised that the Oilers haven't been able to do more? Or
Yeah, I am. Their depth is not playing well. I mean, it really feels like it. Like Draisaitl also hasn't been great. I think he's kind of injured, but he hasn't been very good. And it feels like if McDavid, Bouchard, or Draisaitl aren't scoring, then no one's scoring,
yeah,
kind of thing. And Florida's just too good.
yeah,
But
it's just
about Florida, man, they were the best team all year. I feel. I mean, remember, I feel like every time
they
we'd come
were.
in here and talk
Yeah,
about it, I'd be like, man, Florida's so good.
yeah. They had like an 8 game stretch like towards the end where they like kind of skid and people were like like worrying a little bit, but other than that, it's like no, they were just so good and consistent all year. They seem to be healthy too, and they're just kind of rolling. And I am surprised. I am surprised by Edmonton though, and Edmonton seemingly had a pretty easy path there. I mean, they played the Kings, and then they played Vancouver, I mean, and I love the Canucks, but as far as like playoff teams go, they were, like they were one of the lower, overall seeds, I guess you could
Yep.
say. And then you run into Dallas, who's obviously a tough team, but Dallas didn't play their best series, so they didn't have this like super difficult path to get there, and then it seems like they're kind of shitting their pants a little bit, in the finals here. But
And
when
we
that depth
talked.
doesn't contribute, is tough.
Yeah, you're right. It is, and we talked about Florida, but we didn't even bring up Matthew Tkachuk at all. That's how good Florida's been. Matthew Tkachuk, one of the faces of the league. We don't even talk about them because they're just so damn good.
Dude, it's just like
Or
it
Sam
shows
Reinhart
you.
for that instance. We haven't even talked about him.
Oh, there's so many guys. There's so many guys. It just goes. I mean, Evan Rodriguez has been playing good.
Yep.
Like he's been scoring. It's just it goes to show you that like the Sabres, they're more than a couple pieces away from being there. Obviously, like they might be a couple pieces away from just making the playoffs, and that's all we freaking want. And then once you get there and establish yourself, you can bring in more guys and you become a little bit more appealing because you're heading the franchise in the right direction. But yeah, they're still like 5 or 6 pieces away from being legit contenders as far as the league goes. So
But the thing is, I don't think those pieces are that hard to get. Like you're not looking for,
right,
like depends on how you feel about
no,
our players, but they're not looking for a number one defenseman. They're not looking
no,
for a number one goalie, and they're not looking for a number one center. So it's like
yeah,
the hard part's done.
yeah, just get the right guys. I mean, and I think they kind of struck out with Clifton, and then kind of struck out with Johnson, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I'm not like putting an X on Clifton yet. We'll see what happens this upcoming season, but. All right. Well, let's move on to the. We can just do a quick little shout out to Utah here. I'm kind of hot. I'm kind of happy that they went with Utah Hockey Club for the upcoming year. I felt like that was probably like what I don't know, man. I like it. I didn't like any of the other
I
names.
think it's so lame, dude. Just pick
I
a team,
like it,
pick a name.
but that is a name.
What do you think about their jerseys?
I didn't really see him too much.
Oh, look it up. Look it up right now. I'll start. Look it up while we're talking. Tell live reaction. What you think about their kit for the 2023 or 2024 2025 season?
But you All right. Let's see. Here they are. Bleacher Report. So it's. But you don't like the name though.
No, I mean they're gonna pick like Yeti or what are the finalists? Yeti or Venom. Just pick a name, dude.
I can't. I'm not really finding these. Oh, I think. Oh, here they are. Dude, I think they're sick.
I like the colors, dude. I like the
Yeah,
colors.
yeah. The colors are nice. I like. They got the little state logo back there. Simple, simple. But I think that makes sense because if you're gonna change it, like you don't want this crazy thing. Like
Yeah,
just
but
make it simple.
if those are going to be the primary colors, don't they kind of look like the old Winnipeg Ice jerseys that like Benson and Savoy
Yeah,
were wearing?
yeah. Is that what it was? The Winnipeg Ice. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what they kind
they
of look
do.
like to me.
They do. They
But
do.
how nasty would it be if they took that like light blue color and made it like a third jersey? It
Yeah,
would look so cool. So I think they got a good thing going, man. I think they got a good thing going. I guess I like Utah HC for their first year, but pick a team. It's very Washington Football Club to me.
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Dude, I'm telling you, I was on board with Andrew Peters when he said the Utah Rock. I think that would be
I think
sick.
that's sick. Dude, what a great suggestion. Utah Rock that goes with Utah Jazz. Like,
I
that's
I know.
awesome, dude. That's such a
I
good
know.
one. And
And Utah's
honestly,
like they got a lot of rocks there, I think, right? Like their
yeah,
apartment
yeah.
outdoorsy thing.
And you rock the bed when someone's soaking, so that's what happens. But
Exactly.
but I don't know. I don't know. I kind of want them to just pick a name, but I like Utah HC.
Yeah, we'll maybe I'll buy a shirt. Yeah, we'll see.
I would wear it. I'd rock a Utah HC shirt or a hat or something. That'd be kind of cool.
Do you want to talk? Do we? I know I kind of mentioned it in passing, but Cap Friendly shutting down too, July
Yeah, I'm sad.
5th. Dude, that is sad. What other websites are we going to use?
I mean, there's Puckpedia out there right now. It's not as polished as Cap Friendly, but they've been tweeting a lot where it's like, come use our
Spot
website
Track.
now. Spot Track's out there, but it's not as
Oh yeah,
detailed.
dude. Puckpedia was all over it. As soon as that
They're
news
on.
came out, they're all like, "Hey, we got this tool and this tool."
Yeah, they're like, this is our time. But someone else, some other tech bro is going to come out there and make this like The problem is Cap Friendly had shit instantly. Like their sources were just instant. So someone will build that database and build a website, and maybe it'll be the Puckpedia team, and they'll get those sources. But Washington buying Cap Friendly is crazy to me. Like
It is crazy.
I had no idea that teams were using Cap Friendly. I
I
thought
mean, we do.
like like the Sabres, like the Sabres have their own database, and Kevyn Adams confirmed that at the event last night that this is not affecting them at all. Like they have their own like system, but
But the NHL franchises are using the same thing as me and you in
so
our
like
basement.
you're telling me Kyle Dubas walks into his office in Pittsburgh, and I think Elliot Friedman said Pittsburgh is a team that also has like a system, but he's the first name that came to mind. So you're telling me Dubas is walking into the goddamn office, and the first thing he does is bring up Cap Friendly on his computer?
Yeah.
Like what?
It's
That's
so
the
like
crazy. That's crazy. But I guess like someone pointed it out to me, like billionaires are always gonna like have someone do like a thing for free. Like why would they pay someone to do extra work if this is free? But
yeah.
now it's gone
Yeah,
because
exactly. Yeah.
Washington's like, nah, it's ours now. But it is cool that like the people that made it got a bag, dude. And some of the people are gonna work for the Capitals, so good for them, dude. They made money.
Yeah. I just imagine like Paul Maurice going in the office and being like, "Oh fuck, that's right. This Oposo pick turns into a fifth after he hits up
Dude,
Cap Friendly."
so I forget who said it. I might have been like a random Twitter post, but like you know how you can go on Cap Friendly and like do like armchair GM and like do a whole off season.
Yeah.
I wonder if GMs were like shit posting and like doing a whole off season, and then fans are in there commenting and be like, "We would never do this. Like this is a horrible move." Like just in my head, that makes me laugh so hard that like Kevyn Adams one day is just bored in the office and he does like a whole armchair GM, and like you got some 40-year-old Sabres fan being like, "We Kevin would never trade Jack Quinn and JJ Paterka for name someone here," and it's like he just does it for fun. Like that's great.
That would be so funny. Or they just print one out at the and hand out a bunch of the staff meetings and be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
what do you guys think about this
What do you
one? What
think?
do you think?" They hold their
Or
meetings and then bring up Cap Friendly. Like, all right, let's check out what we got here,
yeah,
boys.
right. The crazy part is though, do you think the NHL do you think the NHL like has publicly said that they don't want this information out there? Like Gary Bettman has publicly said that fans don't want Cap Friendly, that they don't care about websites like Cap Friendly. I I think he's totally wrong. Like the best part about hockey analysis is when people get in the weeds and talk about the financials, and like part of me thinks that it's the players too, because I don't think that they would want the public to know, oh my god, I have a 5-team no trade clause and I voided a trade and now the city hates me.
Yeah, but is I don't think that information's on Cap Friendly, anyways.
It is. It all
You
is.
can
All
see
it,
players like no trades.
you can't see the teams. Like you can't see
Right.
the
Yeah.
official
Yeah.
list, but you can like Jeff's next to Jeff Skinner's name it says no trade clause.
Yeah.
So like you
I don't
know
know. I think it's like I think it's a very small percentage of fans who are actually using those tools though.
oh, like the real geeks. I
yeah,
know.
exactly. Like so
That's me.
exactly. So I think like the general like even though that information might be available, like the fact that Bettman's worried about that to me is kind of dumb because like your average fan is not going on there and messing with that stuff. Like it's a very small percentage of your fan base. And at the end of the day, like who cares? Like it's you can't be that insecure about things. Like so it's kind of annoying to me, but like I said, there's gonna be other websites that just end up picking stuff up anyways or transforming. So
Definitely.
whatever. Yeah. I want to speak about the PWHL here because so it's funny because they held their draft on YouTube. I remember going into the office the next day. I think it was the same day as Game Two. Yeah, it was the same day as Game Two. And all my buddies at work were like, "Oh, did you watch the game last night?" I'm like, "Yeah, I had it on." But honestly, like I was listening and watching the PWHL draft, and they're like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And it was awesome. Did you watch any of it?
I did not.
All right, so I took a picture because I wanted to remember the way that they had it set up. Let me get to it real quick. So it was like cool and weird at the same time. Just weird in the fact that there's only 6 teams, so it just seems so so small, and it is, but 7 rounds. So they had their obviously 6 teams, so 42 total selections. There was like 196 players or something like that who like submitted and cleared to like enter the
Yeah,
draft, right? So you got 42 selections from there, but um, this was the first year that they allowed trades, and there were I know there was at least one. I don't know if there was a second trade that was made, but there was at least one trade that was made. So rounds 1 and 2 was 5 minutes of selection rounds, and then rounds 3 to 7 were 3 minute selections. Kind of cool that each team were allowed 2 5 minute timeouts as well,
I
like
like that.
throughout the draft. Yeah. So again, I watched it. It was awesome, man. It was really cool. The so it started they started off, so it was streaming on YouTube, wasn't like on TV or anything, but you could watch the stream on YouTube. And the stream started at 6, the draft started at 7, and this is the only part I really didn't like about the whole night, is that they had these like two knuckleheads like doing their like purple carpet, which well, they were like from some podcast, whatever it was, but they didn't know the players as they were coming up. So they're asking all the draftees like, oh, who are you, or like,
That's
where are you
so.
from?
That's Bush League.
Yeah, and then like they didn't know, they were very poor at like filling the space, like when the player would be done with their interview, which they actually did a good job interviewing the players. Like I didn't mind that, they asked good questions and whatnot, but when the players would leave and they were waiting for the next one, like you could tell they didn't know what to talk about, and didn't know how to fill the space, so there was some awkwardness there. They weren't that great, so I think they need to like ramp that up, because the PWHL deserves better as far as like a purple carpet goes, or like an introduction to their new players. I'm sure they will address that next year. But then the draft starts, and it's awesome, man. Whoever the people that were running it, it was a man and a lady, and they were great. I forget their names, but they were the moderators, and they did a great job. I mean, very very good at detailing, like, oh, this team's on the clock. This is where they were. They came up short last season. They need this, and it was just really 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 cool. And for me, with my daughter Riley, like, it's just kind of like, it's kind of inspiring to see that they have this female league now, and that if she wanted to become like a professional hockey player, like she couldn't have done that until last year, and now she can, and so can these girls that grew up not being able to do that as a professional and get paid for it, and now they can. And so it's just kind of cool. I remember going home, and because I worked late that night, so I remember going home and I showed Riley on my phone. I'm like, look, Riley, I'm like, these girls are drafting, and she's like, I just want to go to bed. I'm like, okay, whatever.
She's like, Dad, I'm a soccer player.
Yeah, but it was really really cool. I thought it was really well done, and I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this season and next year, and hopefully they can expand and the draft
Come to
expands
Buffalo.
as well. So it would be awesome, man. That would be so cool. I really hope. But I want to see an expansion, because watching the draft was cool. I'm totally gonna watch it again next year. But if there's more teams, there's more possibilities. There's more players being drafted, which is the number one good thing. More of these women that are getting paid to do what they love, but then also more trade possibilities, more potential chaos on draft night. So I'm really looking
Yep.
forward to the
Yeah.
future there.
Hey man, even the NHL had 6 teams originally, so it's all going up from there.
There you go, the original 6.
And dude, so Minnesota wins the championship and then fires their GM. How crazy is that?
Well, so they're in disarray right now, right? Because they win the championship, they fire their GM, and then they have like the most controversial selection of Britta Curl ever, and
Well, because she's an
they're like,
asshole. Like, let's just set it straight. She's an asshole.
well, yeah, sure, and like the problem with that is that they're they've only been around for 1 year, right? So like as much as like you're a Minnesotan, state of hockey, all this stuff, right? Where it's like there's not. I mean, and I know you won it, but there's not like this historic like feeling like part of the franchise right yet, even though it's only
Yeah.
one season. So when you do something like that and you select a player like Britta Crow that has as much of a checkered past, or not necessarily a checkered past, but like
She's got some
she
views, guys.
yeah
She's got some
she's
views
got
that
some
are
views.
not great.
Yeah, exactly. So when you do that, it's pretty easy to like lose a fan base and like lose a significant chunk of it. So they're they've gone from the top to the bottom quickly. They got to pick up the pieces and we'll see. The only thing I just hope is that this girl, I don't know much about her, this Brita girl, except from what you see on social media and stuff. You just hope that she gets to the league and is a good person to the fans and to her teammates and I hope she does well and honestly but I hope
Well,
that
I mean,
she's
let's just be
she
honest.
straightens up too.
She's gonna be on a team where like the women are dating each other, and if she has a problem with that, then she's gonna have a problem in the league. She's got to just
Yeah,
like people don't change their. I guess people can change their spots, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with her. But
yeah,
there's a lot of other girls that entered the league that are this Sarah Fillier that went first overall.
yeah,
She's like the next McDavid. Like she's unreal.
yeah,
And Canada
yeah,
already has like Philly Marie Philip Poulin, who's like their best player since Haley Wickenheiser when she was the Canada's best player. And these players just keep coming up for Canada. Like these women are just constantly cycling out generational talent after generational talent. It's sick.
yeah. So it'll be cool. It'll be cool. So shout out to the PWHL, and we're gonna be following them this offseason too, and see what kind of noise comes out of there. But looking forward to the start of the new season and what can go from there. Oh, the one thing I want to say about the draft, very weird that the draft order was is determined on the final regular season standings. So Minnesota won the league, but they finished actually fourth. They got the last playoff spot on the last day of the regular season. So Minnesota came in fourth in the regular season. So they got the third pick in the draft. You would
Interesting.
think that, yeah, so you would think they would get, but it goes by regular season standings. So I don't know if that's going to change or whatnot. But I thought that was kind of interesting because I've been watching and, it was like the third pick and they're like, Minnesota's on the clock. And I'm like, wait a second. Like, they should be selecting sixth. But yeah, so apparently it
Okay,
goes
so
by
I just
regular
looked it
season.
up because I wanted to confirm. So you remember how I discussed it with you that like sometimes teams are like, or sometimes like random people are like, the NHL should adopt the gold plan where like if you get eliminated from playoffs,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's why they picked because they made the playoffs, but they weren't eliminated until like they weren't like the other two teams were eliminated before them. Like that's how it works. It's weird. Like the gold plan's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but that's what the
Well,
news.
well, you said something about how like oh no. So I'm confusing that with the draft because you were talking about the draft and how like when you get eliminated you start accumulating like
Yeah,
draft
that's what they were
points.
doing.
Yeah, so I don't know. So I don't know if I like that. Anyways, it was just weird where I'm just like they should just be defaulted to the last, But like whatever. Especially when there's only 6 teams, but interesting. But overall a successful draft I thought for sure. So all right, you got anything else?
I got nothing. We can do our actually. I got nothing, but I do have something. So, guys, I'm a big soccer fan. We all know this. The Euros are starting tomorrow. Let's go Italy. Let's go Poland. I know you're going to be rooting for Hungary because you got a little background from us, so it's going to be fun though. I fucking love the Euros. The times are great. It's like 12:03 and like 6 p.m. kickoffs, so it's going to be fantastic. Like if you're home, you can just throw one on. It's so fun. I think France is going to win it. Somehow England is the betting favorite, even though we all know like their team is unbelievable, but they have a shit coach. So it's like I don't think they're going to win the final. I think it'll be France. I like Germany. My sneaky pick to get out of the first. Scotland has never gotten out of the group stage, and I like Scotland's team this year. I think they're going to get out of the group stage. Like soccer is so much fun, dude. It's great.
So the Euros is just European teams.
Yeah, obviously. It wouldn't.
But it's
But
like the World Cup of just European teams.
Europe, yeah. Cool thing about that, so also the Copa America is happening in South America, which is literally like the Euro of South American teams like
Right.
Argentina, Brazil. They have invited the U.S. to play this year. So next week the U.S. is going to be participating in the Copa America.
Oh, interesting.
Do you
So here's a
remember the
question
last
for you.
time? Do you remember the
Yeah.
last time we watched Copa America together at a bar? And this was the first time ever that the U.S. was participating in the Copa America, and Messi scored like 5 goals
Were we at MSK?
somewhere. I don't remember what bar it was, but it
Oh
was
no, I
some,
do remember. It was
yeah,
no, it was oh, it was off Sheridan. I
yeah,
forget
it
what it
was some.
was.
I
Yeah, yeah.
forget what the bar was called, but that was for the Copa America. That was the first time we participated, and we're participating again.
Wasn't that an Arsenal bar?
I think it might have been, but I think it might. I don't remember what it was
Wasn't
called.
that like Shenanigans or something?
Maybe, but your memory is fucking crazy. I think you're correct.
I don't know if they're open
That
anymore.
was nuts how you pulled that out of thin air. But yeah, so we're participating in Copa America again. I'm actually excited, dude, because I think we can go far. I like our team. I don't like Greg Berhalter. I like our team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They definitely have some young talent. So here's a
So
question for you then,
lots
real
of
quick.
footy on the TV today in the Kratachi household.
There you go. There you
Or
go.
this week, I mean, next week.
So if the because France won the last World Cup, right?
Yep,
And that was in 2022.
yep,
Okay, so here's my question. So they're obviously the world champions right now.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
If they don't win, say England wins the Euros,
yep.
in as far as like Europe goes, are they kind of like does that overtake it? Are they kind of like the new champ, or is like
No, World
France
Cup is
like
World
World Cup
Cup
is
transcends. Yeah,
premier? Yeah,
yes.
that's what I figured, but I just want to make sure. Okay,
But
so it's still a tier below.
Euros are still important, man. They love it. I mean, they go. You know how hard soccer fans
Oh
go for their
yeah,
country, their club and country. It's crazy
it's
because
something else to watch and root for, and that's fun.
Italy won it in 2022 or 2020. What year is it? 2024. So 4 years ago, 2020, Italy won it. Italy didn't qualify for the World Cup in 2022, so like that was Italy's big trophy. Like they finally won a Euro, and they were happy with that. But they didn't qualify for the World Cup, so but now they're back in the Euro, and it's like let's go again, let's get another one.
Yeah, yeah, that's fun. That's fun. That's exciting. I'm gonna just throw in a little golf here before we go,
Go ahead.
and dude, I gotta just shout out Scotty Scheffler because the man is just he's just on one, and he won again last week, and the U.S. Open started today, so I'm gonna be plugged into that this weekend, and Scheffler shot a one over today, which like sounds like bad, but I'm not even worried. He's probably still going to win because the leaders are at 5 under right now, and the reason Scheffler is so damn good is that he doesn't like one over today is probably the worst round he's shot in a long time. He
Yeah,
doesn't shoot himself in the foot, and he'll probably come out tomorrow and shoot like a 3 under and get to like 2 under, and then he'll shoot like another 2 under. Like U.S. Opens historically, they don't go low. So the leaders are at 5 under right now. That might be the winning score. The winning score at the end of 4 days might actually be lower than that. It might
I
be
like
like
that. I
I
like that.
like it too.
I like rooting for the course.
I like it too. And so and so I'm just to me, and I've tweeted about this a couple times on from our Sabres Spotlight account. To me, Scotty Scheffler is the most dominant player in any sport right now, like in his respective sport. It's golf is in it is in it's an individual sport. It's insane to just win every time that you basically tee up, and he does. He's just so clearly above everybody else. It's becoming must see TV. Like it's been a long time for the PGA Tour. I don't know if I ever have because when Tiger Woods was like in his heyday, I was younger growing up. I wasn't so. This is really the first time in my like adulthood life where it's like a Saturday and Sunday, and I'm like, shit, I got to turn on the TV and watch golf because I have to see what Scheffler's doing. Like
Yeah,
he's
that's cool.
transcending the sport, and it's pretty cool to watch. So if anybody out there is also a golf fan, I'd be interested to hear who you're rooting for this weekend. But my pick is Scotty Scheffler. I don't care that he shot a one over today and he's 6 shots back. He's probably going to be winning at the end of the weekend. So
That's awesome. We got some golf talk tonight. We got some soccer talk. Let's go. Ending the pod on a high note.
and one other thing before we wrap up, if you have not listened to last week's episode, the state or the Sabres fantasy, go back and check that out because that was a really fun
Oh,
episode.
let's talk about it now at the end here. My friend Colin said you bodied me.
Well, I think so. I think what happened was I think if you took Eichel, it would have been
It was
a lot
on
closer.
principle. I wasn't
I
selecting him
know,
on
I know,
principle.
I know. But
Fuck
you
you,
gave him to
Colin.
me. But okay, yeah. So shout out to Colin then. That's great. But I mean, so that's funny. I'll have to. I didn't want to post the teams on Twitter too early because I wanted people to listen to the episode. I didn't want to ruin it for
Yeah,
anybody. So, but it's been a week now, so I'll post it up and see. Maybe we can get some play on there and see what people think. But yeah, shout out to Colin. I know he listens every week too, so that'll be nice. We'll have to go out for a beer with Colin so I could actually
yeah, we
meet him in
do. That'd be
person.
fun. We can watch a
Dude,
game next year or something.
nice, nice. All right, well, that's gonna do it tonight. But of course, we will be back either next week, potentially 2 weeks. I'm on vacation next week, so if we can squeeze it in, we'll get it in. But we might be on a 2 week hiatus here. But either way, whether it's next week or the week after, we'll be coming back to shine a light on that Sabres hockey. But until then, we'll see everybody. Take care and stay safe in the Saberhood.
Peace.